Something stabbed this Allosaurus in the tail. The hole is still there, and the bone started to heal. Think about a fossil like a receipt. Something happened, and somebody kept the paperwork. This piece of paperwork is a tailbone from an Allosaurus, the big meat eater of its world. And there's a puncture in it, punched clean through. Not a scratch, a puncture. The hit landed hard enough to shove a chunk of that bone upward, which tells you the weapon came in from underneath at an angle. Then the underside of that bone remodeled itself, and that kind of remodeling points to an infection moving in, with the animal still alive and living with it. Healing takes time. Infections take time. Dead animals don't have time. So this predator got stabbed, and it survived. Stamp it. Survived. We ran this trick in the Triceratops video, and a healed wound still means somebody walked away, but that time it was the prey. This time, it's the hunter. And whatever made that hole, it wasn't the meat eater's teeth. Hang on to that. Both animals come out of the Morrison Formation, the rock under a big slice of the American West. Late Jurassic. Call it 150 million years ago. The paleontologist Dodson went through where the bones actually turn up, and Allosaurus shows up in the very same fossil sites as Stegosaurus. Same rock, same layers. These two weren't pen pals, they were neighbors. So unlike most dinosaur matchups you see online, this one isn't hypothetical. They shared the same ground. So what punches a hole like that? Meat, Stegosaurus, plates down the back. A brain you could hold in your palm, and out at the end of the tail, spikes. 4 of them. Not 8, 2 pairs. Each one runs 2 to 3 feet long, 60 to 90 centimeters, and it tapers to a point. Picture a baseball bat. Now sharpen it. Now bolt 4 of them to something that weighs 3.5 tons. Kenneth Carpenter's team took a Stegosaurus spike and tried it against the hole in that Allosaurus bone. It fits perfectly. Now let me be straight with you. A perfect fit is strong evidence. It is not a security camera. Nobody watched this happen. We've got a hole, a weapon shaped exactly like it, and 2 animals in the same place at the same time. Speaking of which, let's put them side by side. Allosaurus is the longer animal, 28 to 32 feet nose to tail, but Stegosaurus is the heavier one, around 3.5 tons against 1 to nearly 3. The vegetarian outweighs the carnivore. That's a strange sentence, and I'm going to leave it right there. Allosaurus brings 66 to 78 teeth. Stegosaurus brings 4 spikes and a wall of plates. On paper, coin flip, and the winner column stays empty. We'll get to why. Quick detour, because this is my favorite piece of trivia in all of paleontology. That cluster of spikes has an official name, the thagomizer. It wasn't named by a scientist. It was invented in 1982 by Gary Larson, a newspaper cartoonist, in The Far Side. In the cartoon, a caveman points at the spikes and explains that they're named after the late Thag Simmons. That's the whole joke. Rest in peace, Thag. Then in 1993, Kenneth Carpenter used the word in a talk at a real scientific conference, and it stuck. The Smithsonian uses it now. A gag from the funny pages walked into science, sat down, and never left. Okay, but a weapon is only a weapon if you can swing it. Could a Stegosaurus actually aim that thing? Bakker pointed out that the Stegosaur tail has no ossified tendons, no stiffening rods, locking the vertebrae together. Nothing back there is holding it rigid. So instead of a pole, you've got a whip. But Carpenter pushed back in 1998. The plates overlap a lot of those tail vertebrae, and that could have limited how far it bent. Scientists still argue about this one. The best swing test we have is a computer model, and I have to flag something. It was built for Kentrosaurus, a stegosaur cousin. It is not Stegosaurus. Heinrich Mallison ran the numbers, and in that model the tail curls around to the animal's side and connects, hard enough to tear soft tissue and break ribs. A model of a relative. That's not proof. Good thing the bones are a lot more talkative. Because here's what the spikes themselves have to say. Laurie McWhinney, Bruce Rothschild and Kenneth Carpenter went through the Stegosaurus specimens, and about 1 in 10 had damage to the tail spikes, broken tips, worn tips, and in some of them, a chronic bone infection, the kind you get from a wound that never properly closed. 1 in 10. That is not a decoration. Line up 10 chandeliers from 10 dining rooms, and you don't find one of them cracked. That damage says these animals were swinging at something, and whatever they were swinging at was hitting back. Okay, this is the good part. Remember the loop I opened? The weapon that punches through bone? Look at what the predator is actually holding. Allosaurus has 66 to 78 teeth, and they are surprisingly short. Small, honestly, for an animal that size. Emily Rayfield's team put the skull through an engineering model in 2001, and the result turned the picture inside out. The skull is incredibly strong. It could take something like 55,500 newtons of force driven straight down through it. The bite is weak. Weak for an animal that big. Those jaws could not crush bone. Strong skull, weak jaws. That's not a bear trap. That's a hatchet. Rayfield's reading is that Allosaurus attacked with its mouth wide open, driving the head down like an axe and slashing the meat away. Eric Snavely's team sharpened that in 2013. The neck muscles attached low, which kept the head quick to swing, like a skater pulling her arms in. Their conclusion: it fed less like a crocodile and more like a falcon. Pin the carcass, then rip straight up and back. And we've met this animal before, back in the Tyrannosaurus vision video. Allosaurus is the one whose eyes point out sideways, like a crocodile. Barely any depth perception. This is not a small Tyrannosaurus. It's a different animal wearing the same silhouette. And the plant eater is carrying 4 sharpened fence posts, and there's a hole in a predator's tailbone shaped exactly like one. The prey had the better weapon. Before you crown the Stegosaurus, though, there's a second receipt. Carpenter's team also found a Stegosaurus neck plate with a bite taken out of it, a clean wound curved like a horseshoe. They matched that shape to the front of an Allosaurus snout, and it lines up. And here's their argument. The spot where that plate got bitten is a spot you could only reach on a living animal. Their argument. That's a reading of the evidence, not a fact carved in stone. But if they're right, an Allosaurus walked up to a living. Stegosaurus went past the spikes and bit it in the neck, which is either very brave or very hungry. Usually those turn out to be the same thing. 2 things you've probably heard about Stegosaurus, and both need cleaning up. Number 1. The second brain. Back in the 1800s, Othniel Marsh found a big hollow space in the spinal cord over the hips, up to 20 times bigger than the brain case itself. And a legend was born. A backup brain, running the back half of the animal. A dinosaur with a co-pilot. It's wrong. That space isn't special to stegosaurs. Birds have it too. It most likely held a glycogen body, an energy store for the nervous system, or it helped with balance. No co-pilot, sorry. The real brain was small, under 80 grams, about the size of a plum. But a small brain does not mean a stupid animal, and that leap has mostly been dropped. Number 2. Those plates on the back, armor, a heat radiator, a billboard. Scientists have argued all 3 for decades. The leading idea right now is display. Look taller, look like a bad idea to attack. But leading idea is not the same thing as settled. Stamp it. Still arguing. So, who wins? Here's everything we actually hold in our hands. A predator with a hole punched in its tail that lived through it. A plant eater with a bite out of its neck plate, and a team that argues it was taken while the animal was still alive. About 1 in 10 of the stegosaurs anybody has checked, carrying a busted spike, and not one fossil anywhere that records a kill. 2 receipts, no verdict, which is the honest answer. And yes, I know it's the annoying one. If that spike is the answer, and it does fit, then the Stegosaurus got its shot in, and the Allosaurus walked away and healed up. That is exactly where the evidence stops. So the winner column stays empty. Stamp it. No kill on record. All right. Put your money down. The hunter with the weak bite. or the vegetarian with the bone-punching tail? Tell me in the comments, and tell me why. I read them. Next time, sword meets shield. Tyrannosaurus bites down on Ankylosaurus, and one of those two is basically a tank with a club. Subscribe, and keep your facts straight with Stick and Bones.